Good morning, everyone. This is Toyin Umasiri. I'm your host today. Welcome to the Mindset of an Entrepreneur, where I bring you insights and strategies from my books and my training programs to teach you how to build, grow, and scale your business. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you can hear me loud and clear. If you can, please give me a thumbs up. Thank you for being here, and hope you had a great weekend. So for today, I'm going to be diving into why you need a customer qualification process. Awesome. Thank you, Samar, Michael. I really do appreciate that. So today we're going into Mindset of an Entrepreneur, why you need a customer qualification process. So if you're new to entrepreneurship, or you're considering being an entrepreneur, or even if you've been an entrepreneur for 5 to 7 years, this is one of the gaps that I've identified that most people have in their business, is not establishing a customer qualification process. Okay? Typically, you go into entrepreneurship with an assumption that you can serve everybody, right? But hopefully you soon realize that your product and your services may not be for everyone, and maybe even all the people that need your services may not be ideal for you. Okay? So your customer qualification process allows you to predetermine those that you want to completely take through your own process. And this is largely dependent on what type of business and sector you operate in. So as example, if all you're doing is selling commodities or consumer products, right? The qualification process is really people going into a store with their money and then buying whatever it is they need. So maybe toothpaste, consumables, handbags, shoes, right? The qualification process, if we can say that, would be, their ability to pay for whatever it is and walk away with their product. So when it comes to consumer products, really, this is not too strict, right? Customer qualification process is kind of like, it's already predetermined. Is if someone comes into your store and they are able to afford what it is you're selling, then it's, that's kind of like the major qualification. But the issue becomes different when you're in the service industry. So the issue gets more sophisticated, particularly if you're in the service industry, and in particular, if the outcomes, right, the results of that process, it's largely dependent on the mindset of the customer. So as example, let's say you want to enroll in a university. You realize that universities do not open their doors to just everybody. They actually have an application process. They have a rigorous process where they are determining and selecting. There's a process to select those that they would admit into their institution, right? The same thing is true, say a bank, right? Is that a bank would not just give anyone a loan. There's a process that the bank goes through to admit or to determine who they're trying to do business with. The reason this is so important is, again, when the types of customers or your clients you take on, the mindset that they take on will determine the success of the transaction, right? Is that if you end up as a bank onboarding the wrong type of clients, they will default. If you don't do the right level of background checks, their chances of defaulting is higher, right? So the bank has to protect its own, right, assets by going through a qualification process. The same thing is true in the universities, right? So that's just an example, is that if your business, what it is you're selling, that the outcomes, okay, the success of that transaction doesn't just depend on your own success as the entrepreneur, but the mindset that your customers or client bring to the table will impact or influence the outcomes. That's when you really have to consider and take into consideration customer qualification process. Okay. The other thing that I want to share as an analogy is this concept of, for those again who are new to entrepreneurship, is this concept that just like when you're fishing, if you go out into the ocean, right, and you cast a wide net. You also need to realize that when you bring home that net, or even before you bring it home, you have to realize that you have to sort the fish. I love using analogies. I love using stories to make sure I drive the message and the topic and the lesson home. Is that if you go out into the sea, deep sea, as an entrepreneur, as example, and you cast a wide net, wisdom calls that when you bring in the net, when you reel it in, you need to understand that not every fish in the ocean is your ideal fish, right? You're going out with a specific goal, right? If you're fishing for salmon, or right, is that you go to the right ocean, the right location that is likely to get you what you want. But at the end of the day as well, you have to go through a process where you're sorting, right? You're selecting, you're very selective. And this again is one of the lessons that new entrepreneurs learn a very hard way, and they actually learn it over time. The reason is because you have to burn energy, use energy before most times people realize that it's actually great upfront to have a selection process in place. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Ashil Pawar. Go ahead and ask your question. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Coach. It's a very good, I would say, lecture. I had a question. Whether all businesses follow a similar process of finding the customer qualification, or how for different business do we need different processes, or is there a streamlined singular process we can use for like a group of businesses?
Okay, that's a fantastic question. It's different for each person, right? It's different for each institution. It's different for each sector. It's different for each business type. It's even different for each entrepreneur, right? Is that depending on the types of business you're building, the consumer behavior, right, is going to be different. The market segment, the mindset, the demographic, for example, if your business is serving high net worth individuals, influential and very wealthy people, what I found is that the process has to be absolutely seamless, right? Because they're coming in with a certain level of expectation on you, the entrepreneur serving them, right? So this is very, very specific. And the other thing that I would also say that it's particular is, for example, in the university, let's just use university as an example, right? The Harvard process, you cannot use the Harvard process at Stanford, right? Even though it's all an application process, what they're looking for, their internal dialogue is so different. Like I also, when I was in corporate, I helped design and launch like Walmart's pre-qualification process for vendors that they work with all over the world, right? Is that you have to standardize, right? You have to standardize because you cannot let everybody bring their process and their mindset into your business. That's chaos. You will be managing chaos in your business, right? Is that so? Depending on the types of customers or the type of relationship you're designing this intake for. So, for example, it could be customers, it could be vendors, supplier, it could even be employee, right? Process. One of the things I teach and I train around, so I train entrepreneurs to achieve business growth and success, is that you have to be process oriented if you're going to win as an entrepreneur. Okay, you absolutely have to be able to streamline those processes as well, because if you don't design processes in your business, you will continue to manage chaos. Is that people will come into your business, to you with their assumptions of how things should be done. So you, in a way, you actually have to set the stage for how you want people to work with you. That's what intake processes are. So there's intake process, and then coming in from your intake process, like how do people come into your door, right? What is it, the side door? Is it the front door? When they do come into your doors, what questions, what criteria are you going to use to determine that they are ideal for you? That's what this is about. And one thing I also want to call out is that at the Business and Leadership Academy, we actually have templates and workbooks available for you to actually design your ideal customers, because that work is required before you go into qualification process. Because if you don't know what you're looking for, how do you identify it? Right? If you don't know what you're looking for or the types of people that is your ideal, then it becomes difficult to do this. Absolutely. So I would say in a nutshell, it depends on the industry. It depends on the relationship. It depends on the individual as well. Go ahead.
Yes, great. That answers a lot of my questions. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Really.
Go on. Okay, was that all?
Yes, that is all. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah, so this is why I train entrepreneurs, because you're going to need this. Okay? You really are going to need this. But what usually happens is that those new to entrepreneurship, this is one of the failure points. Like this is a major failure point, because when you don't have this in place, you're going to waste a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of resources chasing the wrong people, right? Applying a lot of energy in the wrong dimension, right? Because you're pursuing people, you're going down a rabbit hole, and you may turn up with nothing, or you're going on a wild goose chase. So this is why, when I train, is one of those things that I call out is you need to know this up front to save yourself a lot of headache. And how you do it are the things that we teach at the Business and Leadership Academy. So, Ms. Joan, thank you for being here. What's your question? Okay, if this is your first time, I've seen this glitch where you almost have to go back down and come back up to mute and unmute, right? So this is something that we've experienced a few times. So if you're not able to mute, that's probably the app failing. But thank you for being here. If you want to go back down and then come back up, we'll definitely love to have you. And if any other person listening, thank you for being here. If you have any question, please just raise your hand. I'll be happy to bring you up to ask your question as well. So back to the topic, right? Why do you need a customer qualification process? Number one, to save you time, to save you time, right? Is that you will find yourself spending time, your precious time, connecting with people or paying attention to people that maybe you shouldn't be, right? If you don't have this type of processes in place, okay? You will find yourself wasting energy, applying energy if you don't have a qualification process, right? Is that if you don't have a qualification process, how do you know that the conversation you're having will lead to your desired outcomes and even mutually beneficial outcomes? How do you know, right? How do you know? That's the question, right? Is that, let's say you go to Harvard store, like institutions, particularly if you're building businesses that you want to last, right? A lot of times, I find out that entrepreneurs, believe it or not, even 4 or 5 years into being an entrepreneur, they're still spinning around on this topic, because it takes courage. It takes absolute courage for you to say, I'm only going to be able to serve, people that treat me this way or people that show up this way. It takes courage to say no. Okay, it actually takes courage to say no. But you need to say no to, so using the analogy of the fish, right? If you went in to fish for salmon and you bring in crabs and poisonous fish, right? You don't take it home. You don't take it home, right? It's because it's one, it might bite your finger off. The other, it might poison your entire system. So this is where you have to put guardrails and boundaries, and they are supposed to protect you. They are supposed to protect you. Particularly, this is where I value, when you know the value, that the reason a bank would have a lot of processes is they are protecting their assets, right? So as an entrepreneur, a lot of the mindset work, like when I'm training, when we're at the academy, is first check your mindset, because when you have the right mindset, you know your value. When you don't know your value, you're not able to do this work really well. So welcome, Peter. Go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, good evening.
Mm-hmm. Good.
Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. I like what you've been saying so far, and it's really impressive. But my question is this: I am into construction. I engage in different facets.
Oh, could you speak louder, please?
Can you hear me, please?
Better, thank you.
Okay. I'm engaged in different facets of the built environment: construction, facility management, property management, real estate. Is there a template for a key indicator factor to actually understand the customer qualification process? Is there like a template or something
So
to actually use?
So we have a 5-part methodology that I designed at the Business and Leadership Academy. It's about identifying first. So it's not just, so I teach more of design thinking approach to business development. So it's a 360 approach where you put the customer at the heart of your business. And that 5-part series is available at the Business and Leadership Academy. And you can learn more at toyinyumesiri.com. I do have some questions for you. So within your industry, what are you looking for, right? Because there are different relationships you will have to establish, right, to actually do your job effectively. So in particular, what would you say you're looking for as an entrepreneur? How would you describe what you're looking for?
Okay, that is a fantastic question. We actually look for people who trying to have like a platform, like building properties to actually carry out their business, commercial and otherwise. But basically, we deal more with residential apartments in terms of construction, and also trying to manage that property after the completion period. So now I'm trying to understand how you can actually do a qualification process for your customer at the point of engagement.
Fantastic.
To the end of the project and down to the running time or the maintenance aspect of the project. So you see, the thing is so interwoven that you won't be able to actually figure this out at the early stage, because you might have a kind of a back and forth thing trying to understand what the customer actually wants, except you are into the project and you are approaching the end of that project. So that is why I asked that question at the initial stage, whether there is a key performance indicator template already in place, or is something that you have to think through and come up with before you engage in this customer qualification process.
Right. Thank you for providing that. So thank you for providing that additional information. So in listening to you, there are several things that you haven't done, which is why I said the 5-part series on customer. That's where you start from. So the number one thing you haven't done is, just listening to you, I already know you have 2 to 3, actually maybe 3 customer profiles that you have to engineer and design, just in listening to you, right? Because this is what I teach and train people on. And what it means is, when you do that work, and the resources and the guide is available and the templates are available at the Business and Leadership Academy, but when you do that work, you will soon realize that depending on the profile, the qualification process you have to design would actually be different. So as example, I'm just listening to you in a few minutes, not even up to 5 minutes, but this is what I can deduce. You could, for example, have people coming into you more with a profile of an investor looking to invest in residential. You could have other people coming into you. They are literally the consumer. They will live in those properties. How you qualify those twos as example, depending on their demographic and all of those things. Again, these resources and information is available at my school for entrepreneurs. Okay, is that when you do that, you have to do that work first. Like what I'm hearing you that you're doing is you're going to be you're chasing you're spending a whole lot of time providing personalized support when much of the personalized support you're providing could be standardized. Let me explain what I mean. Is that if Harvard keeps asking every single student that knocks on their door the same questions, okay, 1,000 times, they've not standardized their application process. Right? So an application process is we've done this enough times over the years that we know we have standard questions that people keep asking us. That's one of the things you talk about, frequently asked questions on websites. Is that you answer the same question enough times. This is where experience comes in. That's why I tell entrepreneurs, train. You have to train. To achieve success in business, you have to train. If you don't train, if you don't have someone like myself telling you all of these things up front, you will spend the next 5 years figuring it out, and eventually you arrive at the same conclusion. Is that if Harvard refuses to have one application process, what it means is every single person, whether it's 5,000 people, they will have to answer the same question 5,000 times. Right? Is that when you're personalizing 100% of your experience, what it means is you need manpower. You are using your energy when easily you could design an intake process that is a web form, that anybody that makes an inquiry, you ask them these standardized questions and they submit it, and based on that intake process into your business, you have a way of evaluating the application. So those are the types of things, like when my clients come in, you need to remove waste from your business. Anything that is a waste of time, you have to streamline, you have to design processes, because if you don't do this, again, because it's part of the interesting journey of a new entrepreneur is it feels good when people are coming to you asking you questions. Feels good, fantastic. But the key is, does it translate to business results? Which of those activities you're involved in? If, like, you could spend a day, a week going back and forth with this potential client, and then after a week of back and forth, they say, oh, sorry, thank you, no, we don't want to do anymore. You've just wasted a week, right? Which is what is likely to be happening to you right now. Is you wait till the very end for you to then realize, oh, oops, you realize, or they realize that they're not willing to move forward. Whereas that is something that you could do at the very initial stage. That's part of standardization, right? So that's what I would say is so important. But first of all is that process of developing the profile, the mind, and understand. There's a resource at the academy, and this is an online school you can enroll in. You can find out more at toyinyumesiri.com, www.toyinyumesiri.com. There's this template, the headline is, how well do you know your customers? And you have to dive into the questions in that template, right? To really understand, so that when the next person comes to you in your business, you can have a better judgment call upfront versus spending a week, spending 2 weeks, sometimes even a month. And then after a month, you're like, right? So that's why this process is important. Is first, you have to predetermine the types of people you want to work with. And there's a process that will help you get it right and refine it. And then once you know what you're looking for, it becomes easy to be able to say yes, no, and filter, right? But you can't filter because you could be losing if you apply the wrong filter, if you don't do this well, okay, and if you apply the wrong filter, you may actually do more damage to your business. So that's why this is important to be precise. Okay, that's it. I hope that, go on.
Thank you. I appreciate the word filter. That is actually a strong keyword for me. Thank you. Thank you for the response.
Yes,
I appreciate that.
Yes. Filter, right? There are different types of filter. There are big filter, there's big, there's small, depending on, like, a bank's filter. Like, if a bank wants to give a loan, you can be rest assured their filter is very fine. Very, very fine. Like, they do not let anybody in if that person hasn't passed a long list of, they have a criteria, a long list. Because if you're coming in asking for, the cost, when the cost of failure is too high, your filter needs to be precise. But if you can afford to be failing at it, then open the door wide open and let free for all, right? But you also need to realize, even in retail, the reasons they have, say, cameras all over the place is because even though their doors are wide open, they still have a filter. The filter is, if you don't pay us, you're not a legitimate customer. If you walk away with our products and services without paying us, we want to know, because this wasn't designed for you. So even though in the lowest entry point, where it's just retail wide open, they still have a filter, but that filter is not even visible. They don't want it to be visible to everybody because they want everybody in. But you can be rest assured they have a security process. They have people watching you, right? That's just an extreme case, right? When the filter is not really right. But then when you think about a bank, right, it's just, at the end of the day, how do you value yourself as an entrepreneur? How do you value your time? How do you value your energy? How do you value your product and your services? And the value lens you put on it, you want people that would mirror that level of value, right? That's also how to see this. But again, most new people, those that are new to entrepreneur, and when I say new, I'm also even putting 5-7 years in, because I've seen this also, is if you don't start well, if you don't start your entrepreneurship journey with the right level of training, you can carry the wrong mindset even into 7-10 years of business, right? You won't know you're doing something wrong to yourself. You won't know how you're hurting yourself. And this is where I talk about the consequences of lack of knowledge, right? This is why I train entrepreneurs to achieve success, because what you don't know, what you're not designing in business, you are still paying a price. You don't know, but you're burning energy, you're stressed out, you're scratching your head, you're wondering, why are people behaving this way? What, right? All of those things, you can remove all of that noise when you put yourself into training, right? Because business development is nothing new, but if you don't know how to build a business, right, you don't know what you don't know, right? Everything you want to achieve, every success entrepreneurs desire to achieve in business is dependent on the skills, the strategies, and the mindset you adopt. Heavily dependent, absolutely dependent on you. And that's why training and capacity development is so important. That's what I recommend. I say train fast so you don't have to fail fast, because the tendency is, as humans, you fail at what you don't know first before you win, before you master, right? It's like if you want to enroll in Olympics and you want to win the trophy, you don't show up and say, hey, give me the trophy. No. Have you trained for it? Are you the best in the best of the best in your nation? Is your nation willing to put you on the global stage? Like, there's this levels and levels and levels of growth that entrepreneurs need to be ready for. But I'm realizing and I'm seeing, unfortunately, people are just settling and just hoping that they would see that one day they're going to wake up and see the result. And I say, train for it. Train for that result. Right? Because if you know what those that are successful, if you know what they know, you've increased your chances of being successful. Like, this thing is so in my book, The Mindset of an Entrepreneur, you can download it as well on my website, toyinyumesiri.com. I dive into all of these things so that you can start your journey sooner. You can learn these things sooner than later. Because the moment you learn all of these principles that I've been sharing, right, then it's game over. Then you can start doing the right thing. You can go back, like today, you can go back and say, do we have a customer qualification process? But like I shared, there are several things you need to do before this process, but I just wanted to bring it out here because I've seen that so many people are wasting time, energy, and their resources. They're not maximizing it because they think, all fish in the ocean belongs to them. And I'm saying some of it is just going to bite your finger off. Okay. Okay. Johan, are we able to get you back? Do you want to try it again?
Good morning. I didn't have a question, but I wanted to let you know that information on one of the last presentations you had was very helpful to me.
Oh, wow. Which one? Do you remember?
It was on a Saturday morning, and it was impromptu, and you were talking about how we could, how the way we grow up in America and the things that we are exposed to that prevent us from being better than we can be, and connecting to other people. Because when you were talking, I was having a meeting on that Tuesday, and you were talking about how we come together in a meeting, and I can't really think exactly what it was, but when you come in together, how to accomplish what it is that you're going in that meeting for. So it was helpful to me.
Oh, wow. So did your meeting go well on Tuesday?
It went well. Now it's a week by week meeting, and it's for research and development for a product that I have. So I paid the rest of the money, so now it's being elevated to the next person. So I'll be meeting again on Tuesday.
Yes. So I think it's, I talk about desire, nature, nurture, culture, the effects it has. Like, as an entrepreneur, you have to train yourself to communicate your desire, right? And there's a program at the academy called the Game Plan 12 Strategies for Winning in Life and Business. And it's a 3-hour masterclass, and the replay. And it also comes with a workbook, a personal development workbook. Is you actually have to look in the mirror, because this is what we call truth, right? Is that many times people are lying to themselves, but they don't know, because they've been cultured and raised to actually lie. Let me explain what it is. Whenever you don't say what you mean and you don't mean what you say, you're lying. Even when people don't know, you're lying to yourself. This is where it is most dangerous, okay? And as an entrepreneur, you have to tackle those things head on. Why? If you've created a product or a service and you want to sell a product or service and you want to be rewarded financially for, you have to tell the world. The whole world needs to know your intentions. But many times people mask intentions. They go into rooms, a negotiating room where, listen, if you're going into those rooms and you're not like a fisherman, like a fisherman doesn't go into the sea with hope. I hope. No, you go in with clear energy to bring in the fish, to bring it home. You have your wife, your kids waiting for dinner. Listen, when you come with that mindset, like, I'm taking on my fish, it's a different play. It's a different mindset. It's a different energy. The world cannot resist that energy. But what's happening is that many people apply their energy in terms of, oh, what would they say? Oh, like you're spending your time focusing on things that will not help you get what you want to get, right? So there's this training, and I call it training because particularly if you've been trained not to speak your mind, if you've been cultured not to speak your truths, if you've been told you are dreaming too big, cut your dreams down, if you've spent the last 30, 40, 50 years of your life living a certain way that hasn't gotten you to the destination of your dreams, you now have you're responsible now for reprogramming yourself. That's my point. But if you don't even want to acknowledge there's something off here, and if you cannot look in the mirror and say, why am I going into rooms of where there are opportunities and I'm coming up empty-handed? If you can't ask yourself those tough questions and confront the truths that this is all about, there's nothing wrong with the ocean. There might be something wrong with your methodology. Right? There's nothing wrong with the market. People are making money doing business every single day. People are getting what they want. Elon Musk is getting everything he wants, whether he wants Twitter and then he wakes up another day and says, no, I don't want it anymore. Right? Jeff Bezos will say, I'm going to the moon. Right? Is that success in life, period. Whether in personal relationships or business relationships, it's about communicating your values and letting the whole world know, including your employees, what's on your mind and why we're doing what we're doing. Last week, I posted something on social media. I said, until you're ready to let people know what's on your heart and what's in your mind, you're not ready to lead. Right? Until you're ready to expose your clear intentions, the world cannot help you meet those intentions. Like I cannot. Like if you have a question and you're sitting, right, you're staying in the room and you're not coming up to ask your question, I can't help you. That's how life is. Is that if you have a question on your mind right now and you're sharing space with me and you don't take the courage to raise your hand and come here and get what you want and what you need, that is what I'm saying. Every single day, if you continue to show up that way in your world, you are not helping yourself achieve your own desired goals in life. You did this to yourself, nobody else. Because every single day, God will send you people that can help you, serve you, elevate you. But we are not responsible for you raising your hands, for you speaking your truths, for you asking your question. In fact, there's an article I wrote. I talked about the power of asking the right questions. Because what I found is that people are not asking the right questions, they're asking the wrong questions. And because they're asking the wrong questions, they're getting the wrong answers. The most important thing you can do for yourself in life is to ask questions. In fact, one of the things that people talk about imposter syndrome, and I'm going to be wrapping up soon. I just want to put this out there, is that imposter syndrome, I always tell people, one of the ways to tackle it is to ask questions, because it is your soul calling you out that you don't have enough data. It's like you being a tourist in a new city. You've never lived there before. You don't know where the ice cream shop is. You don't know where grocery is. You've stepped into a city where your mind and your brain is telling you, we don't have an internal map. We can't navigate this space. So caution, be careful, right? And the way you navigate a space that you've never been to before is you ask the people that you met there. Ask the people living in that town. Excuse me, ma'am. I'm looking for ABCD. Where can I find it? If they are nice, they point you. Now, you now also have to apply judgment to say, do you want to believe them or not? But at the beginning, ask first. When you ask, then you also give yourself power to accept it or not. You don't have to accept everything people share with you, right? But you deny yourself options, routes to success when you don't ask at all. Even Bible talks about ask and you shall receive. Right? This is even a spiritual principle. So I just hope I've helped some people. But again, there's a full program. We have a curriculum at the Business and Leadership Academy. One of the first stops is the game plan, 12 strategies for achieving success, right? Winning. You want to win in business and your life. And the way you guarantee that you're always going to win, okay, is to let the world know who you are. This also comes in branding and brand positioning. This is who I am. This is what I'm about. This is what I can do for you. This is what I want in return. That's it. Walmart does, like, companies do this. You want my banana? $3.99. Right? It's about value statements. Value. Any room you go in and you don't come in with value or speaking your value or letting the entire room know the value of your value, then the default is always 0. Listen, every room you go into and you do not speak up, you want to really know this today, that everybody in that room, they ascribe 0 value to your contribution because you contributed 0 to that conversation. Like, I spent over a decade in corporate. This is part of the mistake that people in corporate make. When you're in a room, if you don't speak up, it's as good. What did you come into the room for? Unless it's a listening space like in corporate, right? But if you're a leader in that company and nobody's hearing you speak, it's very tough to advance. And the same thing is true when you cross over to entrepreneurship. Is every single day you want to tell the world, this is what I can do. This is the value of my value. This is how I can transform your life. And for me, the types of training I give entrepreneurs is life training. Nobody can take it from you when you achieve success for yourself, right? It's a life training. You train once and you get your head, you get your mind right. And the next moment you're like, okay, I'm good to go. So for me, why what I do is so important. And I've seen this over and over and over again is once you get these things right, it's game over. You can then go about winning, right? But when you don't understand what you're doing or what you could be doing better, what you're doing wrong and what you could be doing better, this is where failure comes in, because until you master these principles, right, it's very challenging. I want to thank Ms. Joanne for really just bravely coming up and sharing that experience. And it's absolutely true. Like, for me, I train leaders, and as an entrepreneur, you are a leader, right? You will lead in the market, you will lead your clients. They're coming to you for leadership. You have to know that. So thank you, everyone. Any last questions as I'm wrapping up for today's session? Ms. Joanne or Peter here, any other comments before I close it out for today? Peter.
No, you've done a fantastic job. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. But this, I try to make it about you, the individual. It's about you, because while many people come in first to say, oh, help me with my business, like business structure, what I have found through experience is that business, whatever is going wrong in that business, okay, comes from it's a reflection of what's wrong with the entrepreneur first. So it's like a medical doctor. You can tell me the symptoms. Oh, this is going wrong. I want this. But what I've found, and I have programs that helps you structure your business, help you build, grow, scale, right? But I'm also sharing today, through experience, I've learned to start with the mindset first. That's what led me to write the book. Is that the moment we can work on, this is actually how businesses are built. You need to know this. Because if you don't apply process improvements, if you don't do A, B, C, D, E, your business will reflect the absence of those processes, right? Is that your business, whatever you're experiencing right now, is a reflection of what you know and the absence of what you don't know. Okay, is that when what you don't know is missing from the puzzle doesn't fit. You're like, I don't even know what I'm painting right here. It's not clear, and you're confusing yourself. And guess what? When you're confusing yourself, you can't lead in the market, and the market is you're confusing both you, right? And so this is why, first of all, training the entrepreneur, right, to acquire specific skills, to think, to adopt a mindset of winning. It comes with communication, clarity, branding, all marketing, sales, persuasion. It's actually the skill that the entrepreneur has will determine how they structure their business, and we have those resources all bundled in the Business and Leadership Academy. It's a long it's a school, right? You study, you test, you would reach out, you talk to me and say, Toy, I tried this, and it's a lot of back and forth, because it does take that. I make sure people know this up front, is that you have to really be ready to be all in for yourself. Not me, it's you, it's up. This is about you, your goals, and all of the things you aspire to achieve is achievable when you give it what it takes. Like, if you want to win in the Olympics, are you ready to give it what it takes? Because if you don't want to give it what it takes, then don't enroll. Like, you won't find me pushing anybody and say, oh, become an entrepreneur. No. I know too much about entrepreneurship for me to lead. It's like, I don't lead people into that world of, it's like, people telling you jump off the cliff, but they're not telling you to wear your parachute. I know you're going to nosedive and crash, right? Just look at the statistics of how many businesses start, right? Is that the best we can do is, if you want to jump, please guarantee your own success. Guarantee that, make sure you're not going to fail yourself. And how do you do it is knowledge, capacity, skill, arm yourself with strategies, the right network, invest in the right communities, on and on and on and on and on, right? Or if you've jumped already and you're struggling, it's like you need to say help, you need to reach out, you need to then say time out. What didn't I know? What do I need to know? The people that are achieving success, how did they do it? And it comes with humility, right? And I've shared this before. Most times people starting up front, first year, even into second years, pride is in the way. Can I just say it? Arrogance of, I know it all. It's by year 3, year 4 that reality sets in. And then people go, oh my goodness, like I didn't, so check. I'm speaking those things so that you can just look in the mirror and ask yourself, right? Are you making a lot of assumptions? And what don't you know? What could you be knowing? Because trust me, the first step to winning in success is to become a student. The first journey on that journey is first become a student, because what you don't learn voluntarily, you will still learn eventually, right? If you don't enroll in your own, should I say, student journey, the market will just give it a few more time. The market will tell you, customers will tell you, or followers in the world of social media will soon tell you, no, we're not playing. You say buy, they say no, we are not buying. You say buy, they say no. Why? Because you've not spoken to them in their own words. You're still doing this all about you. You soon realize that entrepreneurship is about serving other people. It's about putting to work, doing the work and serving other people. And if you don't know those people, and if you don't think like they think, and if your value is not perceived by them, they are not engaging. Period. You can't make anybody do business with you. But if you have the skills of sales and persuasion, there are certain ways, specific ways you can increase your chances to achieve success. Very, very specific ways, right? And you have to train yourself to adopt that mindset. So thank you everyone that has been here today. It's been a great pleasure. I see Miss Vender, I see Samuel, Kenny, Sibosiso, Tony, Toyin, Nanab, Manab, Regis. Yes, thank you for the love. Eunice, Esther, Oyin, Michael, Bong, and those on the stage, Peter, Joanne. Thank you so much, everyone. Feel free to reach out with comments or questions, and do check out my website, toyinyumesiri.com, to access more resources like my ebook, Mindset of an Entrepreneur, the workbooks, and the programs. We have more than 20 courses. It's a full enrollment, really, because at the end of it, right, at the end of this entire process, you're going to arrive at a place where you're going after success, right? Is that you train for success. That's what my whole mantra is is that we want to train ourselves for exceptionalism. And once we achieve that, trust me, the results will belong to you. And this weekend, just yesterday, I received an email from one of our members, students, and clients. She was like, Toyin, now I get it. Now I get it. This is what's going on. And I was super, super thrilled with her, because at the end of these things, the magic happens when you know what you're doing, you know who you're serving, and you have the skills, right, to go after what you want and get it, right? It's like the fisherman. When you know how to fish, then you can fish every day. You can fish every day. God bless you all. That's it for today. See you around. Bye for now.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.